When I found out my parents handed the family business to my sister, I stopped giving away 80-hour workweeks for nothing. A week later, my dad called, clearly frantic. We were about to lose our biggest client. I just replied, "Sounds like a job for Paula. She's the chosen one, isn't she?" Hey Reddit, before we jump in, a quick note. I've noticed the channel's been slowing down a bit. Subscribing takes seconds, it's free, and it genuinely helps keep this community going strong. Alright, let's get into it. I've always believed in earning what you keep. So when I joined the family's consulting firm right after college, I wasn't expecting any shortcuts. My parents had built the business from nothing into a thriving mid-sized company. I respected them for it. I was proud to carry on their work. For nearly a decade, I gave the company everything: late nights, weekends, personal sacrifices, not because I was asked to, but because I wanted to prove I had what it took to lead and grow what they'd started. For the first 5 years, I didn't even take a paycheck. I reinvested every dollar I earned back into the company. While my friends were buying homes and new cars, I was living in a tiny apartment and riding the train. I believed it would all pay off. My younger sister Paula was different. Private school, luxury wardrobe, spontaneous getaways, it was a whole other world. She tried a little of everything, studied marketing, dabbled as an influencer, bounced between short-term gigs. My parents always said she was exploring her options. I figured maybe one day she'd get involved with the company, but she never seemed interested until recently. Out of nowhere, Paula started popping into the office. At first, it was just to help with social media. Then she started crashing meetings, tossing out big ideas without understanding the basics. She had no experience in consulting, no rapport with our loyal clients, but somehow, our parents acted like she was the second coming of Steve Jobs. I kept it professional. I bit my tongue when she claimed credit for a strategy one had spent weeks fine-tuning. I said nothing when she botched a client's name during a major pitch, and Dad just laughed it off. I told myself I was being overly sensitive, that I was reading into things. Then came the dinner that changed everything. It was a casual Saturday evening at my parents' place, just the four of us and a few old colleagues. Mid-dessert, Dad raised his glass and said they'd finally made a decision about the company's future. I smiled, thinking this was just more praise for Paula's new ideas. But then he said it. They were passing the business entirely to Paula. Not as co-leader, not even as a partner. She was to be the sole owner and CEO, effective immediately. I froze, stunned. I thought it had to be a joke. But no one laughed. Mom was glowing like they'd just gifted her grandmother's pearls to the favorite child. I stood up, heart racing, and asked if they were serious. Dad sighed and said Paula had the vision to modernize the firm. That I was too stuck in the details, too focused on maintaining what already existed. He said they respected my dedication, but it was time to pass the baton to someone who could lead the company into a new era. I laughed, but it came out cold and empty. I reminded them I had worked for nearly a decade without pay. I built our biggest client relationships from scratch. I reorganized the company's entire financial system. And now I was being tossed aside like I'd never mattered? Paula just shrugged and said, "Don't be so emotional. It's just business." That night, I cleared out my office. I sent a simple email to the team thanking them for everything, and walked away. No announcement, no confrontation. I just disappeared. 1 week later, my phone buzzed. It was Dad. He sounded panicked. One of our biggest clients, a massive tech company responsible for nearly 40% of our revenue, was threatening to walk. Apparently, Paula had gone rogue. Tried to overhaul their strategy, pitched an entire rebrand they never asked for, and completely ignored their actual business needs. Dad was desperate. "Just this once," he pleaded. "Can you fix it?" He said I was the only one they trusted, that I was the only person who understood the relationship. He sounded like he was on the edge of tears. I took a slow breath and said, "Let Paula handle it. Isn't she running things now?" Then I hung up. And everything started to unravel. I heard whispers from ex-colleagues, people jumping ship, clients pulling back, key staff threatening to resign. Paula was overwhelmed. My parents were in damage control mode. Me? I was finally getting a full night's sleep. For a while, I thought that would be it. Let the mess they made play out. But then something happened I didn't expect. A few days after that call, I got a message on LinkedIn from the CEO of the tech firm Paula nearly lost. He said he respected my choice to step away, but missed working with me. He asked if I'd consider doing some independent consulting, just temporarily. No pressure, no strings, just mutual trust. I met him for coffee. Then another client reached out. And another. Within weeks, I had quietly launched my own boutique firm, just me and a handful of loyal ex-teammates who had also left the company. We started small, no office, just laptops, coffee, and strategy sessions around my kitchen table. And the clients? They came with us. Not all, but enough. Enough that I made more in a single month than I ever did in a full year at my parents' company. Enough that people started to take notice. That's when Paula called. I let it go to voicemail. Then my mom sent an email. She wanted to meet. Just the three of us, her, dad, and me. She said things hadn't gone the way they'd hoped and they wanted to talk. I haven't answered, at least, not right away. Part of me was curious. Part of me was furious. Because let's be honest, they weren't reaching out of love. They reached out because they needed me again. And the most ridiculous part? Paula started posting cryptic quotes on Instagram, things about betrayal, snakes in the family, and stolen dreams. But here's the truth. I didn't steal anything. I just stopped bleeding for people who never valued the sacrifice. Eventually, I agreed to the dinner. Not because I missed them. Not because I forgave them. Because I wanted to look them in the eye and see if they felt even a shred of guilt. I wanted to know if they still believed what they did was just a savvy business move, or if they finally realized they bet the house on a fantasy and lost. We met at the old steakhouse. The same one where we'd once toasted milestones and celebrated wins. It felt strange walking in, knowing I wasn't part of the firm anymore. But even stranger? I didn't feel nervous. I felt free. They were already seated when I arrived. My dad stood up like he might hug me, but didn't. My mom gave a tight, practiced smile. Paula wasn't there. Small mercy. The small talk fizzled out in under 5 minutes. Then my dad cleared his throat and said, "We made a mistake." I didn't respond. No sarcasm, no defense, just waited. "We thought we were doing what was best for the business," he went on. "We assumed giving Paula the reins would push things forward, but it's been a mess. Clients are bailing. Half the staff has quit. She's completely in over her head." My mom stepped in. "We should have listened. We didn't realize how much of the company's success was riding on your shoulders." I gave a slow nod but said nothing. Then came the real reason for the dinner. They wanted me back. Not just in a supporting role, this time as CEO. Full control, ownership transfer, rebrand, staff changes, whatever I needed. They'd step away entirely. Paula would be out. No resistance. It was everything I had once dreamed of, everything I had bled for. But something in me recoiled. Why now? Because the money dried up? Because their star player set the place on fire? My dad winced. "No, because we were wrong, and because you're the only one who can fix it." I felt a flicker of the old attachment, the legacy, the team I'd nurtured, the part of me that still craved their respect. But that part had died the moment they gave away what I'd spent my life building. "I already run a company," I said, steady and certain. "One that I built from scratch, one where I don't have to prove I belong." My mother's expression dropped. "We just thought you might want it back. You didn't think I'd want it when you gave it away." They offered to buy out my firm, merge everything, start fresh together. I told them no. Then I asked the one question I'd buried since that night at their house. Why her? Silence. Finally, Dad spoke. She needed it more. She was struggling. We thought giving her purpose might help. I let out a short, stunned laugh. "So you sacrificed the daughter who was thriving to rescue the one who wasn't?" They had no answer. I stood, dropped my napkin on the table, and told them I wished them luck cleaning up the wreckage, but I was done. As I walked out of that restaurant, I felt weightless. Like I had finally let go of something that had been dragging me under. That was 6 months ago. Since then, my firm has exploded. We've tripled in size. We've opened an office downtown. There's a waiting list of clients, and investors are reaching out to us, not the other way around. My name is gaining real traction. Not because of my family, but despite them. Paula, she's long gone. Word is she tried to scapegoat a junior manager and stormed out when the board pushed back. My parents are still trying to hold things together, but the top-tier clients? Gone. Their best talent? Some of them work for me now. I don't speak to my family anymore. Not out of anger, just clarity. They made their choice. So did I. People confuse legacy with loyalty. They assume anything passed down must be preserved, even if it breaks you. But I've learned, blood isn't a business model. And family doesn't mean unconditional sacrifice. I didn't destroy that bridge. They burned it the moment they threw me off it. All I did was build my own. And I'm not crossing back.